Doomsday 3.
We're in Doomsday 1. He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix. Most of his friends.
You got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass involved. You better get involved.
I just got to say, when it comes to Dallas Cowboys, well,
It's different. Had you stayed
For sure, because it would have thrown it off. Because
and I go to bed every night like, G man, I promise you that. We What is up, Cowboys Nation? Happy St. Patty's Day. Yes, it goes without saying. You guys, this show is standing in between me and some corned beef cabbage, all the trimmings that you get. It's one of my favorite times of year just for this one day. I'm not Irish, but I don't know, man. I'm old school. I love me some corned beef and cabbage, so I'm looking forward to it. Hang out a little bit, enjoy the day. Back from vacation. Took a little 8.5 hour drive. Listen to a little radio, listen to some content creators and stuff. And the frustration that goes on with Cowboys Nation is it's a common theme every off season. So we're gonna just talk through some stuff, see how you guys are feeling, because man, there's some heavy hitters out here. There's some big Cowboy fans that have. I saw 8-9 record. I saw that we're no playoffs. We're rebuilding. So I mean, really, what's your thought? Take a step back, and really look at it. But before we get going, make sure you guys hit that subscribe on YouTube. If you guys are new to the channel, do your boys a favor. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram or on Twitter, you could see in my bio, there's a link to the YouTube channel. All you got to do is hit that subscribe. We got some giveaways that are going to be happening. We had some great guests on our show, and we got some signed stuff that we're going to be giving away. So the only way you can get it is you got to be a subscriber. You got to be able to participate. And more importantly, when we get to that 5,000 subscriber mark, I don't know if people want to go next year or not, but we got 2 club seats, my seats to a game next season. You could take your boy, hang out with me a little bit. You can take Kelly, you can take Jimmy, you can tell all of us to screw ourselves, and you can go yourselves. You can be like some Cowboy fans that don't want to go to the games. You just sell them, whatever the hell you guys want to do with them. But hopefully you go. Hopefully you put them to good use. But what's happening in the chat? Scott, Steve, Vince, got my man Kareem. Yeah, I know you're already drunk, getting things going, and everyone else in the chat. Also, just a shout out again to Mark. He did a major hookup on some super chats. So kind. I wanted to send him something, but his email, Mark, if you're listening, your email wasn't going through the comments. So all you got to do is email mike@cowboyscave.com, because I definitely want to send something over your way. I appreciate that, Blake, as well. Jimmy's doing good under the circumstances. Obviously, I don't want to get into too much of the personal stuff, but, he's definitely doing better. He's looking forward to doing a show Monday to kind of get away from some of that stuff. So hopefully you guys check it out. It'll be a lot of football talk, not necessarily cowboy. I'm almost cowboyed out from this offseason, and just really, what is your guys' thoughts? And here we go. Could create 40 million, but Jerry said the hell to trash Scott. So that's the question. That's the question that I would love to get your guys' opinion on, because we talk about this offseason, and my man George Teague, he's very, he's got a keen eye and a keen ear, and he heard exactly what Jerry Jones said when he said all in. He kind of always pivoted to something, and it was really about re-signing our guys, and he's all in with his guys coming back, getting them re-signed. But the odd thing is, appreciate it, Kareem. Morning, Mama. And what's up, EJ? Up this morning. That's what kids will do to you. So that'll happen. But would you sign them? I mean, that's the thing. They could free up so much money. CD, Dak, restructure, Diggs, and it's too late now. I mean, the main free agents are gone. I mean, you're pretty much getting, that third tier, second or third tier free agent. So I mean, there was really, I guess there's no rush to get Dak signed, to get CD extended, to free up some money. So, what do you guys do? Do you ride out with Dak this year and just say, hey, man, this is your shot? McCarthy's on a 1-year deal. Dak will be on a 1-year deal. And you just kind of, you roll the dice and put the pressure on them, and they don't perform, then you're basically going to be starting over. Do you try and move them and go with Trey Lance? I mean, there's so many scenarios I'm seeing all over social media. Or do we extend them and get that money freed up? It's just kind of disappointing because you would have liked that they extended them earlier, right? And also with CD to free up money so you can be a player in free agency, but it's just not that. So what do they do? Let's just go ahead and put some more pressure on your draft picks to succeed, because that's what it's going to come down to again. It doesn't feel real. And listen, man, I'll say this. I saw Emmitt Smith wearing an Arizona Cardinals jersey, man. That's my favorite player. You want to talk about breaking your heart? What I would say with the departures, and it's business, right? So it is what it is. For years, Cowboys Nation has been critical of Tyron. He's not available. Need to move on. Why are we paying him? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? So it's one of those rip the Band-Aids off and just get it done. It's, I personally, maybe I'm the lone one in the group. I like our offensive line. If they move Tyler to left tackle, I like Bass. I thought the center, it was a Hoffman, I believe, it came in for a few games with Biotis. Was never a fan of Biotis, so I didn't mind him leaving. Obviously, Zach Martin he's got a little tread left, but he's getting up there. And Terrence Steele's the wild card to me. If he could get back to the form pre-injury, now he'll be a second year removed from it. I think our offensive line is doable. The question for me is who's going to run the ball, and that's the that's the biggest thing. Emmitt Smith is a Cardinal, yeah. Let's see, when Emmitt Smith a Cardinal, the Cardinals were not in the division; they were already gone. But I mean, you had Emmitt Smith, and you also had I'm pretty sure they were gone. Now I'm starting to question myself, but I thought they were gone, but then I don't know. Now I'm questioning myself. But Tony Dorsett wore a Denver Bronco uniform in his last few years. So guys leaving is just the way it is. The interesting thing, I wish I can give credit to who it was, but someone posted, you look at Danny White, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, Troy Aikman, obviously Roger Staubach, all the what you would call the 5, quarterbacks in Cowboys history, the mainstays. I mean, you could probably throw Meredith in there, as well. They stayed with the Cowboys. They played the Cowboys their whole career. So the quarterbacks, it really doesn't happen as much. And that's why it's interesting you see in some of these other quarterbacks as they're getting older. Back in the day, the quarterbacks didn't play into their 40s. They didn't play into the late 30s. They were done in their early 30s. Otherwise, they'd be dead. So it's a little bit different now, but you're starting to see some of these other quarterbacks kind of moving on and playing with some other teams. It's a little bit more common than it used to be back in the day. But yeah, it's, wish Tyron well. But I think it's definitely time, to kind of move on. Van Der Esch, again, it's another one. The injuries. I mean, he probably shouldn't play. I'm just being honest. He's got a beautiful wife, family. I believe he's getting started if they haven't already. All that kind of stuff. He's one bad injury away from potentially being paralyzed. I mean, when you're dealing with neck injuries, that's something that I wouldn't be messing with. I'm sure he's financially secure. So I don't know if he'll play again. And then obviously, Pollard moving on. I don't think that was a big surprise. So some of the moves the Cowboys have made in the offseason, I'm not hating on it. But what I'm hating on is the lack of movement on bringing in guys. And it's not necessarily they had to go out and break the bank and sign all these big name guys, because that rarely works. But it's just the strategic guys that they could have brought in, the ones that you see in signing for not much money, even now, not much money that they could have brought in. That's the part that's frustrating, and I trusted this process for 30 years, Troy. 30 years I've been trusting this process. I hadn't seen it work. My thing is bring in guys that are some dogs and that are character. Now, maybe, there's some guys out there that are left. I mean, Justin Simmons is still out there. Chase Young is still out there. Stephon Gilmore is still out there. You got some guys, hopefully they bring Gilmore back. You got some guys that are still young, not too old, but have some things to prove. I mean, shoot, Connor Williams, our old guy, was he's out there coming off an injury, but he did pretty damn good with the Dolphins at center, so maybe we welcome him back. But there's guy, KJ, my man from the U. I say you got to get some guys from the U on your team, so hopefully, maybe they listen to me. Dobbins is a young running back who has the potential, but injuries have kind of plagued him a little bit. So that's kind of when you're dealing with the free agency now, it's all question marks. It's all guys that got released late that are probably you can get on a 1-year deal, maybe get a 1-year deal, prove it deal for them, and go from there. But that's what you're running into. A steel ceiling is a C+. Man, I hope you're wrong. Can he be a B minus, a little bit better? I don't need him to be Pro Bowl. He doesn't need to be All Pro. C+ isn't terrible, I guess. And now that I'm thinking about it, I was a D student and I turned out to be pretty good. So C+ probably is not that bad. But we'll see. Hey, what's up, 808? Appreciate you popping in. Again, this is Sunday, man. This is laid back. I have no script, no agenda. Just figured I'd just get on back from vacation, see what you guys are doing, and really get a temperature of Cowboys Nation and how you all are feeling. So one of the other things, we talked about it in the show on Thursday and just really wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it because it's something that I hear a lot of. It's like, Cowboys Nation, we need to boycott. We need to protest. We need to do this. We need to do that. Mike, why the hell are you buying jerseys? Why are you buying shirts? Why are you buying, you got season tickets? Don't go to the games, and I enjoy the games. And if you look at the pictures below, this is one of the reasons why I love going to the games. I love hanging out with Cowboys Nation. It's how I want to spend my my budget for entertainment, you could say. But maybe, you guys have a point that a message needs to be sent to the team. And how are you going to send the message? How are you going to send the message? Me not going to the game and selling my tickets to the opposing team is not going to send a message. Me not buying a shirt isn't going to send a message because there's just too much money out there in the NFL. There's revenue sharing, this and that. So how do you send a message? And I brought this up, and it would take a lot of work, and it would be something that the fans, if they're really fed up with everything and they want to do it, is first home game of the year. Soon as it's kickoff, maybe 5-10 minutes into the game, everyone in the stadium stand up and leave. Go to the parking lot. We'll have a tailgate. We'll do something, but everyone leave. That's how, if you want to send a message, because that is going to create embarrassment. It's going to be talked about during the game. Where did everyone go? It's going to be on ESPN, NFL Network, NFL Good Morning, right? All the shows, Stephen A. Smith, everyone is going to be talking about it, and it's going to be true embarrassment to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. I'm not against that. If people want to send a message is like, hey man, 30 years is enough. Because the one thing I will give Eagle fans their due, boy, they're angry, and they do not settle. Jalen Hurts took him to the Super Bowl. They wanted his ass gone the next year because he had an off year. After the season, they wanted Howie Roseman fight. Now they love him again. I mean, they're kind of hot and cold, but that's something that if you guys, if you want to send a message, that's the only way that I think you're going to do. Jerry Jones going to games, have the opponent's fan-filled stadium, want to hurt their pockets, at least send a strong message. Yeah, I mean, embarrassing them is the only way to do it. Anyone who goes to the game, it's a very small percentage. I said it, dude. Someone did research on it. About 7% of NFL fans actually go to a game. Not a lot of people go. I mean, you really think about how big this country is and where the stadiums are at, and where how many NFL fans there are. There's not a lot that go. So it's one of those things. If you're not going to hurt them, because someone else will go or whatever. But embarrassing them is the only way I think the Cowboys can send a message. the fans can to Jones. Other than that, they can give you the lip service and they can give you everything. And there's just not two ways around it. Let's get this chat going. Let's see. Let me try and catch up here. I don't have any money for tickets anyway. They priced me. Yeah, now I will say, you say that, but you can get standing room only tickets. I know a ton of people that do. You can get them for like $50. So I don't want to say totally priced you out. They probably priced you out from, some of the seats. And believe me, they're getting close to pricing me out of my seats. But I get it. But I'm telling you this. This is what I'll say about NFL games. And a buddy of mine went to the Super Bowl, and he even talked about it. It's overrated. Like, the game is overrated. It's better to watch it at home. I hate to say that. The reason I go to games is because of the pictures I showed you before. The tailgating, the hanging out with, making a weekend of it and hanging out with the Cowboy fans and going to Texas Live and going to all these different spots and meeting new people and just having a great time. That's what it's about. The game is secondary. So you can do all of that, get a standing room only ticket, be part of the action and part of the fun very reasonably. So I don't want to say they priced everyone out, but I get what you're saying. The NFL in general probably has, but I'm just saying that's why I go to the game. And that's why it's very hard for me to sit here and say, well, I'm not going to go to any games. I'm sick of this shit. And I'm done with them, because what am I giving up? I'm giving up friends I've created, experiences that I enjoy. So that's the hard part. That's the challenge. What do you want to hurt the team? Okay, I'll hurt the team. I won't go send a message. That's why I say a walkout is good, because we can still enjoy the entertainment. We can still hang out with each other. We just do it in the parking lot. You don't think, though, when there's 80,000, because there'll be some people left over. Let's say there's 50,000. Let's say half the stadium leaves, 50,000. You don't think the camera crews are going to be coming out there to try and figure out what the hell we're doing? So you got 50,000 people sitting in a parking lot having a good time, just enjoying themselves, because that's ultimately what it's all about. That would make for some interesting TV and some interesting thing for Jerry to answer that question in his post game. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. But listening to Steven in his interview, wherever the hell he was at, and I know DMV, he talked about it, and I saw a few during vacation. It's like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. I mean, Jerry, people give Jerry a lot of stuff. I worry for the day that Steven is in control of everything. Years ago, I thought maybe he was going to be the more level-headed one and maybe get a GM and kind of do all of that. I don't know. I think Cowboys Nation, I think we might be in trouble. You guys who don't like Jerry, you might be upset, really upset. And we never want any harm or wish, passing on anybody. I hope Jerry lives to be 120. But there may be some dark days ahead after that. I just don't see it. So anyway, after kickoff, go to lot 10, man. That's what we do. Could be a down year. Now, that is the thing. That is the thing. Down year. I don't know. I mean, I look at you still got CD, you got Dak, you got Parsons, you got Diggs, you got Tyler. I mean, there's still a lot of talent on this team. I mean, who did they lose? I mean, they lost some guys that other teams overpaid for. Now, what worries me is mentality, the dog mentality. They're putting it all on the draft, and that's what worries me. So I'm not going to say in what month are we in? March, it's going to be a down year. Now, Cowboys fan, I love you, and hopefully we get to hang out if you guys make it to a game, but because I haven't done that yet, disappointed. In September, in August, then let's come back and let's say, is it going to be a down year? Because you look at Washington, spent a lot of money, give them a lot of props. Who's their quarterback? They're going to draft one. I think you guys have all seen drafting a quarterback is no exact science. There's going to be a lot of failures. Very few are going to be successful. That's just the way it is, because it just depends on the system they're in and everything else. So that's the thing. That's the wild card with Washington. So you look at the Giants. What did the Giants lost their best offensive weapon? They lost their best offensive weapon. What they got a good, Burns, good defense, so they've definitely shored that up there. And I only look in the division because that's the part you got to get through the division. And Philly's the one, right? So it's us and Philly, back and forth. Philly, Dallas, Philly, Dallas, Philly. They got Barkley. Barkley's never really done much against us. They lose Kelsey, who I'm telling you is going to be a bigger loss than a lot of people think on their offensive line. I go back to Frederick. Our Cowboys offensive line was never quite the same when Frederick retired. Never quite the same. So I'm curious to see how their offensive line is going to do. They picked up some guys. Got to give them credit. Like I've posted it before. I can't hate on them. They are doing what they need to do. So on paper, you got to give them the edge. I mean, that's just being honest. I mean, we don't have a running game. Our running game is, Deuce Vaughn is our running back, and that's not an RB1. I ain't gonna get it done. So I'd have to give the edge to the Eagles in March, but the season isn't played in March; it's played in September. So let's just give it some time, let everything kind of marinate a little bit. Because I'll go back to last year. And last year at this time, maybe it was a little before, everyone was dogging the Cowboys. They did nothing. They did that. This year's going to suck. We didn't answer. We didn't address that. And then they go out and they get Cooks and they get Gilmore. And then all of a sudden, all the haters, all the people that kind of wish flip-flop on the Cowboys, now they all love them again. So I'm just going to pump the brakes on it. Am I disappointed now? Sure. But I just don't know. Offensive line couldn't do anything last year, didn't address it. Running back wasn't great. Offensive line, you had 3 All-Pros. I mean, all pros, not Pro Bowl, all pros. So I think the offensive line had to do more with the running game than vice versa. And I say that because I had Kevin Gogan on, and I asked him that question because it's a big question that I always get into with Emmitt Smith and the offensive line. Was it Emmitt Smith? Was it the offensive line? Yeah, I'm sure it's a mixture of both, and I think we all agreed that. But so many people dog Emmitt and say, "Oh, well, he had the best offensive line in football." 3 of his offensive linemen were cast-offs in the Landry era. I mean, Gogan, 2A, and Nate Newton were in the Landry era. It wasn't like they drafted all these huge guys. Their best draft pick in that early part was Eric Williams, who obviously was a dominant right tackle. Got him in, I think, the 3rd round. So it's not like they brought all these unbelievable guys in. But what he said was good coaching. Coaching made the line, but he said Emmitt Smith made them a hell of a lot better. So that's what I'm saying is I think the issue is more in the running game. The running game with the back that we had last year than the offensive line. That's just me. Again, I'm just a fan, just like you guys. So I could be wrong. It must suck to be a Cowboys fan watching these. No, it doesn't. And I know you're an Eagle fan, Bobby, and I do respect you. It doesn't, because you guys did it last year. You brought all these guys in the middle of the season. You lost 9 in a row. So that's what would suck to me. What would suck to me is just pissing your opportunity away when you're like, 10-1 or 9-1 or something. That's what would piss me off. I'm just going to be honest. Just gonna be honest. And that's again, Cowboys came out. This is the part that frustrates me with the Cowboys. The draft better be a home run. That's what they sell themselves on. That's what they bank on. And I just don't think you can do that. I think you need to have some free agents coming in, and really more the culture free agents, the free agents that are going to bring some dog, because that's what this team needs. We got stars. We got plenty of stars. We don't need the stars. We need some blue collar, like Kendricks, that kind of guy. We need about 3 or 4 more of them sprinkled around. And I do think we need some offensive line depth and things like that. But me personally, I'm not as freaked out about the offensive line. I'm more upset about the running game. That's where I'm more pissed off. A lot of people melting down. I know but hey, the thing I would say is Cowboys struggling or Cowboys not doing things, or it makes for good content. A lot of people are getting a lot of mileage off the Cowboys. We are too. I mean, shoot, Kelly and I were on we had over 500 people watching, our live show. And right now I'm looking at it's 255 between all the platforms. So people, when things are upset, people do definitely like to tune in. But make sure if you're watching on Twitter that you flip over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. That's the most important thing. And smash that like. I appreciate that. Cowboys are not winning anything significant with Dak. And this is the thing, too. Dak is quarterbacks are always going to get all the blame. And it's not winning anything with Dak. Right now, yeah, I can't argue that. That's why I said at the end of the season, everyone wanted everyone gone. I'm still on the fence of what do you do? Do you re-sign him? Maybe what they're doing is smart. Maybe they're saying, hey, you're going to play it out. And if we have to pay you, we're going to have to pay you next year. But we need some progress, or else we're just going to just get another quarterback. You got Trey Lance sitting there. Maybe you give him a shot. You just don't know. You saw Fields. I mean, Fields was traded for peanuts. So you just don't know. And maybe you build a system in and get a quarterback to do that. So I'm on the fence with that. I'm not one of these huge Dak fans. I love Dak. He's on the team. I think he gives us our best chance if we want to win this year. I think he definitely gives us our best chance. But I'm not, I'm not all there. Let's see. Well, a down season is anything under 12-5. See, I don't know. I don't necessarily think the record has to do with a down season. And what I mean by that is they've been 12-5 and they haven't moved. If they were 9-8, if they were 10-7, battling to get in the playoffs, battling to win the division, battle tested every single week going into the playoffs, and then make a run because their backs up. That's what if you watch a lot of teams, that's what it is. Go look at look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs were on the road in the playoffs. I mean, they had to battle it. And I think with the Cowboys, maybe, they were the 2 seed. They're playing the Packers. Oh, I mean, you had players on the team already having a victory party at some club. I can't believe they're still on the team, but that's a culture thing that we can talk about for another day. But so is that success? Or would you rather have the Packers season of 9-8, barely making the playoffs, winning a playoff game, having the 49ers on the ropes where they really outplayed them most of the game? That's a successful season. I don't care about the record. It's all about postseason now. Forget the record. How far are they getting in the postseason? I don't care if they're 9-8. I don't care if they're 8-9. I don't care if they're 10-7. It means nothing to me until you see what they do in the postseason. What's up, Renee? Appreciate you hopping in. Overshown, Kendrick upgraded, and yeah, you got Overshown. He's coming back. Kendrick, obviously, the linebackers are going to be better. The linebackers, great point. The linebacker room is going to be better. Overshown coming off an injury, right? So you just don't know. But he showed a lot. I mean, he showed a lot in his opportunity. Let's see. Was last year's draft. I don't like to give draft grades after 1 year. I mean, in a few years, I think you do. But I think you'd say, right now, the draft has been, disappointing. Mozzie obviously has been disappointing in year 1. Overshown that we just talked about was hurt. Deuce Vaughn did nothing. So, yeah, I mean, if I was going to say today, how's the draft? I'd say it sucked. But give them a couple years. If Overshown comes back and let's say he ends up being in a Pro Bowl or even just a dominant linebacker, well, that's pretty good draft. If Mozzie seemed to be dealing with some personal things. So you gotta see what happens there. And hopefully he gets everything back on and then see what happens. Yeah. I would like a 0 jersey. Just got to be the right guy's got to wear it. It's just like in college, Miami always, guys know I'm a Hurricane. The guys, if you're ward number 1, your ass better be damn good. Especially if you wore 1, and I mean, Jesse Armstead wore 1. Who's our receiver? I can't remember the receiver. Wore 1. We had a running back. Ferguson wore 1. I mean, you better be really, 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 really good. Let's see here. A lot of fans remember the years with Quincy Carter. Yeah, but the thing I would say with that, and I agree, Troy, but you can't go in fear. You can't go in fear and say, oh, well, if they move on from Dak, we're going to be back in the doldrums of mediocrity. I mean, you can look at a few teams. It's not necessarily true. I mean, the Patriots had Drew Bledsoe, but Tom Brady came knocking along. I mean, the 49ers, they get Purdy. I mean, you could go the list of different guys where, you thought, oh, big bad, bad decision. Look at the Packers. The Packers, everyone said Jordan Love, oh my God, the Packers are going to suck and this and that. Well, that didn't work out. I mean, it worked out pretty good for them. Didn't work out good for us. So I don't want to, I never am going to live in fear or I wouldn't coach in fear. If I was a coach on the Cowboys, if I was the GM, I wouldn't be doing that in fear either. That's why I'm saying I think the Cowboys not being aggressive in free agency, I think they're living in fear. They're like, oh, well, I keep hearing Brandon Carr. I mean, Jesus, God, he hadn't been on the team forever. We keep going back to that name. That's why they don't do free agents. No, they've done a lot of free agents that Cowboys have gotten through the years that helped win them Super Bowls, and so I don't, I don't get that. Where was that? Cowboys. I would this is again, this is the part that frustrates your free agency, because I think if they would have addressed free agency the right way, in my humble opinion, the draft would be a luxury. And I think that's where if you can make the draft a luxury and not a necessity, I think you have the opportunity to draft the best available player, no matter what position it is, because you feel comfortable with everything else. So to me, offensive line, if you get a good guy there, I think that's the way that they're going to go. I think they're going to go O-line. I'd like to see D-line. I think either side of, the game is won in the trenches. I always tell the story when I was a kid, man. I love watching the draft, and it used to be on the weekend. It was on a Saturday, and it was all day. It was 7-8 hours on Saturday and on Sunday, and we would just make a thing of it with the family and just watch it. And I used to get so pissed when the Cowboys didn't draft a running back, wide receiver, cornerback, any skill position, even though they had Emmett and all that. You just wanted the big name. I guess that's what I should say. The guy, an offensive lineman, isn't going to get the big names. A defensive tackle isn't a big name. They got Russell Maryland first overall. And I remember there was a talk with Rocket Ismail. I think that was the year with Rocket Ismail. He went to Canada and they had all this other stuff. And I mean, I liked Russell Maryland because he was from Miami, but it wasn't the sexy pick that got everyone excited. Russell Maryland had a good career. Not a Hall of Fame career, but he played a very important part in that team of the 90s on their defensive line in that rotation. And that's what wins championships, is the trenches, and dominating the trenches. And you got a great shot to win. And I think that's what the Cowboys on our defensive line isn't as nasty. Two live crew nasty as they want to be. We ain't as nasty as we want to be on the D line. So I would love to see them get some nasty, and they had opportunity and they didn't. So lots of depth on the O line. Let's say completely agree, best player available. This might be one of those years. Yeah. And there's a couple skill guys that I would love, but if we have holes to fill on the defense and offensive line with depth, and I think more challenging, I think that's going to be interesting. Let's see. They invested first round pick in Mozzie. He'll be your starter. No, I'm hoping Mozzie. I mean, I'm hoping he bounces back. He lost a lot of weight. There was question if Dan Quinn, wanted him to lose weight, or was he going through some issues where he just had some problems adjusting, let's say, to the professional football. But you got to remember that some of these guys are still kids. I mean, what I was doing at 23, 24, I wouldn't be able to be a professional athlete. So you got to give them a little bit of slack on that, but hopefully he matures and gets it going, because he's strong. He's got that opportunity. And if Mozzie can get it going, and it was a Davis they got right. That was in New England. Then you got Osa, you got Hankins. They could bring back, right? I don't think he signed with anyone else. You get a defensive line front, but what I would say is there's nothing wrong with bringing in some new guys too, and maybe bringing in some fresh blood, because it's like I said, a lot of people are upset with who left, but I mean, what did we really get with them? We haven't, not like they brought us a sixth title to Cowboys Nation. So it's a tough business. But it's that running back they're going to have to address early. Second round, I'm not a draft guru like some of these guys. So I will defer to my guys and get them on and let them kind of educate us. I know the players, but I don't know the where certain things should go. But you didn't sign a running back. Running back has got to be a priority. It's got to be a priority. I I think offensive line, running back, and linebacker are the three that in the draft. If they can just get one that you feel good about in each one of those positions, I'll be happy. Obviously, receivers always deep in the draft. You got Tolbert, you got Cooks, and you got CD. But I could see them bringing in another receiver to kind of push a little bit. Tight end, I think we're loaded with the tight ends we have. So as I say, people get negative, but I mean, if you really look down, our offense was the number one offense last year with what everyone says was a shitty offensive line, or some people say, and no running game. And we still ended up being the number one offense in the NFL, or at least top 5. What I would say in the defense, and I don't want to come across as a hater, so please don't tie me to it, but Dan Quinn, that defense, a little bit of smoke and mirrors. I mean, if you really look back at it and you look at how they performed in certain situations, in certain scenarios, the defense was overrated. Look at the Packer game, look at the Bills game, look at the Dolphins game, look at the 49ers game, look at the Cardinals game. When they got challenged and the offense wasn't lighting it up right away. Let's say the offense stumbled a little bit. The defense couldn't hold it down and they just got blown away. They got blown away. And then you put all the pressure back on the offense. You can't expect your offense to just throw up 40 points every game for 17 weeks. There's going to be those games. And again, I'll go back to the Super Bowl. You look at Mahomes, that Chiefs offense was doing nothing for 3 quarters, but their defense held one possession, held it close enough to where all it had to do was get that offense, get that one possession, get the lead, and kind of start feeling comfortable with everything. Our defense didn't do that, and they haven't been able to do it. So you look back at the game. You look back at the Packers game, and you say, hey, Dak blew it. Dak sucks. Dak this and that. I mean, our defense gave up 36 points or whatever it was, take away the pick 6. The defense gave up a shit ton of points. Every time you thought maybe the offense was, in the second half, the offense started getting going, the defense couldn't hold them. They just go right back down the field and score. So every time you thought you get momentum, you couldn't because the defense couldn't hold them. So losing Quinn, I don't think is going to be as big as a problem as what you guys may feel. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're happy he's gone. Maybe you're like me. I think Zimmer is going to bring some attitude. About that you need. You even saw, who was it? Goodwin, the cornerback, even said something to that about Zimmer is probably what this defense needs. They need a kick in the ass. They need a good kick in the ass. Oh man, my man Malik, I still owe you dinner. I would love to get your opinion on Fields. We need to get you back on the show. I got some Kane stuff to do, but I think it's a great pickup. I think it's a great pickup for this year. I'm telling you, Justin Fields, I think the Bears are going to regret the move that they made. I think they're going to regret it. I think Justin Fields, what he's had 4 coaches or 3 coaches in 3 years. I'm thinking this is 4th year, 50, whatever it is. But he's had a different coach, a different coordinator. I watched him play in college. He can sling it, and he can also run. He's had no weapons in Chicago. I think that was probably the move of the offseason for the Steelers. You get Russell Wilson. You got Russell Wilson for nothing. For nothing, because the Broncos are paying all his money. And then you got Justin Fields. So even if you use this as a kind of a year to get Fields kind of acclimated to some consistency, and Tomlin's one of my favorite coaches, you get him in an organization, which is, there isn't much better organizations than Pittsburgh. The fan base, everything that goes with it. So you get him in something where he's got some stability. He can learn a little bit under Russell. And if Russell doesn't get it done, then you've got an opportunity. So yeah, no, I agree, Malik. And we got to talk about our Canes. I need to see if we're feeling good. So we definitely gotta meet up. I still got that ticket stub for when you had that beautiful game that you had against Florida State. So still we gotta hook up. But I appreciate you popping in, man. And see, the Bears are adding up. And yeah, I don't think Caleb Williams. I don't know. I'm not sold on him, man. I'm just not. I could be dead wrong. But I think the Bears are going to regret. They're probably going to. I don't know if they'll regret it as much as drafting Trubisky over Mahomes, but they're going to regret it. The Bears drafted Justin Fields, then traded him once they rebuild is complete. Great move by the Steelers. Stupid move by the Bears. Cowboys can't fend. Yeah, and Fields was a guy that I said, hey man, if the Cowboys had an opportunity, like when they were talking about Trey Lance or they're going to get a quarterback, I would loved to have Justin Fields. I think it's a big. I think it was a big mistake by the Bears. I think they're going to regret it. And I wish Justin Fields the best. I mean, he's been put in just a terrible situation. I think that's the thing with these quarterbacks is it's a situation they get put in. The situations they get put in, that's why you see Purdy doing so well. He's in a good system. That's why you see some of these first rounders, they can't survive because it's just so much instability. Look at what CJ was able to go to in Houston. Yeah, it was not a great team, right? He went to one of the worst teams, but you bring in D'Amico Ryans as head coach, one of my, again, one of my favorite young coaches, great defensive mind. I remember him at Alabama, remember him, in the NFL at Houston. He's familiar with the town. The fans will love him. And then you bring in a good coordinator, you draft a young quarterback, right? You get some pieces around him, you build that defense so not all the pressure is on him. The Houston Texans, man, it kills me again to say this because we're going to be playing them. They're building a nice football team, man. And so anyway, what about Cousins to Atlanta? The thing I'll give with Cousins, you got to give him credit. That man knows how to make some money. He got guaranteed money out of Washington 2 years in a row being franchised. He signed in Minnesota. I think it was a $90 million 3-year guarantee, 100% guarantee. Then he gets another contract. That guy's made more money than anyone I know at quarterback in guaranteed money. The thing I would say with Cousins, he's going to a lot of weapons, a lot of good weapons on that team in a bad division. So I think for Atlanta, I think it's an opportunity to jump ahead, jump above all the other teams in the South. They've got, Bijan, you got Drake, you got Pitts, who's never been used. I think it's a good move for Atlanta from a fan base standpoint because they're going to be competitive. They're going to be in the playoffs. I'll be shocked if they're not in the playoffs. So you get in the playoffs, man, you know how it is, my man. That's opportunity. All you ask is for an opportunity in the playoffs and you can make it happen. But it's going to be that. I think that's a good landing spot for Cousins. Again, I don't know. I think it's going to bring them a championship, but I think for the fan base, it's going to give them hope, and hope is all I guess you ask for in football sometimes. Yeah. Someone said, well, maybe. Oh, there you go. Caleb Williams is going to be the best. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta respectfully disagree with Caleb Williams. Yeah, Winston to Minnesota. Yeah. I don't know about old Jameis, famous Jameis. I'm still pissed off. We lost him a few times in Miami when we had him beat. But he was a turnover machine in college and he ended up being that in the NFL. So yeah, I don't get that. But I'd say with Caleb Williams, I don't know. I don't see. To me, it's the quarterback has to be. They're the face of the team, the CEO, everything that goes with it. Caleb Williams, I don't know him personally, so again, I can only go off what media says. Some of the antics or some of the things that he, the way he acted and the way he did things, some of the things that were brought out in the media, some of his demands, some of that just doesn't. And again, it's generations, maybe different. I don't know, but I think Mahomes is a quarterback that plays in any generation and he could fit in any generation. His leadership and everything goes with it. And I think Dak, to an extent is that way too, just his leadership and everything in there. Caleb Williams, I just don't know. I don't see it. I just don't see it. He's not in the perfect situation. Perfect situation is not in Chicago. I mean, I'm just going to be real. Anyone who knows Chicago Bear football, that is not the perfect situation for a quarterback. Never has been. They haven't had any quarterbacks. I mean, Jay Cutler's the best quarterback all time. I mean, of course, you throw McMahon in there because he won a Super Bowl. But if you look at skill set and everything else, it's Jay Cutler. But he's a distraction. That's exactly, Mike. That's the problem. You can't have distraction at the quarterback position. It never works. It never works. And I don't wish anything bad on him. I hope every player that comes out has a long career, great career, make a lot of money, do well against every other team except the Cowboys. I mean, I don't hate on anybody, but I just don't know. I just don't know. This is one that keeps coming up. Stephon Diggs being traded. I mean, we've heard this for years. Everything, Jimmy, my man Jimmy, he lives in New York. He says it's a constant thing. There's definitely turmoil within. There's friction between him and Allen. I don't know. I don't know. There's always going to be. He's always going to be tied to Dallas because of his brother. But something's up there. I think there's going to be a parting of the ways soon. I just wonder where he'd really end up going. Live in the present. I'm living in the present, my man, Ultra. I know it's you, Ultra. I love you. The Bears organization is probably one of the worst run organizations in football. Worst run organization in football. Talk to Bears fans and ask them, because I'm friends with a ton of Bears fans. That is not the ideal. So you said perfect situation. That is not the perfect situation for a young franchise quarterback to go in. They don't pay their coaches. They rarely pay their players. So they're a cheap organization. It's not the perfect situation. So maybe he proves me wrong. Maybe the Bears prove me wrong. But as of today in the present, the Bears organization is not the perfect spot for any young quarterback. That's just my opinion. And you might be right. Who do the Cowboys get in free agency? Well, I thought we'd make a lot of moves, man. My man Jerry said it's all in. Get nobody. They couldn't even get Gus the Bus. They couldn't get my man DJ Dallas. I said the Cowboys, when they won Super Bowls, they had a lot of guys from the U, and they have not done that. And I've said it over and over and over and over again. No one wants to listen to little old me, but I would have thought they would be more aggressive in free agency, not high name guys, not high price guys, but mentality, championship mentality. That's what this team is lacking. And again, we got to get you on this show, Malik, because culture is the hot thing too. Culture in a locker room, culture in an organization. That's the buzzword. If you, changing and bringing guys in with that dog mentality, that blue collar, that just want to win championships, just want to win games, not worried about their brand. That's kind of what's missing with the Cowboys. And with the Cowboys organization always being in the news and always being in this, you can create that. But I also think winning a championship creates it. You look at Kenny Gant. He was our special teams guy in the team of the 90s. He still does appearances. He's on the tailgate parties all the time. He does signings here and there. He is beloved by the Cowboys. Good look at any guy in the 90s. I mean, we talked to Kevin Gogan about it. We talked to all these guys. You write your ticket. All you got to do is win a championship. The money will follow you. You don't need it when you win a championship. The money will follow you. So, yeah, I was looking at free agent. Chase Young, Clowney, Dobbins. See, I think Dobbins is an interesting guy because he's a running back, right? So he's got talent, but he's got injuries. So what I was saying earlier is everyone that you've got is coming off injury, or they're getting a little long in the tooth, or they've been disappointing. Mike Williams. I mean, Mike Williams out there as a receiver. I mean, when he's on, but he's coming off an injury. Gilmore, hopefully the Cowboys bring him back. Chase Young had some disappointment, obviously, with Washington. He went over the 49ers, was kind of, had some disappointing games where they didn't think he gave the effort. He's a guy with a lot of talent that you might be able to get on a one-year prove-it deal. Justin Simmons, ball hawk, leadership. This is a guy I would love to see the Cowboys sign. This is a guy that can bring something to the team in a positive way and be a locker room presence. I think he would be good. Calais Campbell, man, he's up there in age, man. He's up there, but he's from the U, and that'll solve a problem, right? Get someone from the U. So that's kind of what you're dealing with: age, injury, and kind of disappointment. That's what you're really dealing with the Cowboys. They're done. They're going to have to sign some people. They got to get some people because they got to fulfill a roster. Unless they just fulfill it with a bunch of undrafted free agents, they're going to have to get somebody. Yeah, I'd love that, boy. Aaron Donald. That was a bad man. That was a bad man. They made the comparison to him and Reggie White. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Reggie White was just a beast, but so was Aaron Donald. I don't think you can hate on anyone for picking one or the other. The Commanders signed. Did they really? I mean, he was a nobody. I mean, they're getting all our leftovers. I don't, but they're familiar with the system that Dan Quinn's going to run. So that's not surprising. You see a lot of that with a lot of these teams when the coach goes over to another team, they go ahead and they bring their guys with them. I would have thought we would have saw it more with the Cowboys, like you saw Hunter. Danielle Hunter, I thought maybe the Cowboys would have made a move at him. He had success, familiar with Zimmer, right? I would have thought maybe there was something there that they would have done. There was a couple other guys that on the Vikings, that they could have got. So let's see, convince Aaron. Yeah, man. See, I don't know, man. Daniels, definitely love to get your opinion on that more. I don't know. I'm not crazy about any of these quarterbacks, to be honest with you. As far as being elite, I think Daniels he would probably be right there. Either him or May would be the two that I would look at. Again, I've said record. I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams. LSU quarterbacks, I know my man Burrow, he's had a good career, so I can't hate on that. But some of their other ones have been not so much. So that I always have that stigma in my head sometimes with colleges produce, the best NFL ready quarterbacks. So I'm not real sure. I'd love to get your takes on that. And again, you're more in the college stuff. I might have to get you on for our draft stuff so you can educate us a little bit. Mike, Mozzie make an impact. He's got to. If he doesn't, we're in trouble. He's one of those X factors next year on our defense that has to step up. That's going to have to do something. So I think definitely if the Eagles, I would be all over Reddick. I'd be all over Reddick if that would be nice. The locker room is an easy one to handle. Competition, the SEC. No, absolutely. That would be the thing with him playing high level competition. Obviously, everything you deal with LSU, I'm sure it's not that easy. Is it easier than Miami? That's what I don't know. How's Miami going to be? How's Ward going to be? That's the big question for me when it comes to that. He thinks Daniel's going to be too small to take the beatings in the NFL. Bo Nix, man, he's been in like college like 10 years. God, it seems like I've been watching him since I was a kid. Starting out at Auburn, but maybe it was his dad. Maybe I get him all mixed up. But Bo Nix is interesting. Also, what about my man from Washington? He's from the Tampa area. He's another one. I don't know if his delivery is a little bit different, but he showed a lot. Kellen won't know how to get everyone the ball. Yeah. I don't think that's going to work out. That's not going to work out in Philly. That's the thing. Philly, you signed some players, but you also got Kellen Moore as your coordinator. JJ McCarthy's he's moving up. He is moving up. I'm not sold on him. I'm not sold on him at all. I could be wrong. I just didn't really see enough in college. But sometimes you see these guys in college, and it's just a system they're in. So I'm not gonna hate on them. Me personally, I just didn't see. So Ward, yes, I hope so. I'll be there in Gainesville. Hopefully, you'll be there. Nothing better than going on the road to Florida and slapping them Gators around the field. I cannot wait for that day. I cannot wait. Injuries with Penix. Yeah. Yep. JJ's going to get a GM fired. Well, that could be. It's another one. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, man, I love a lot of football. Listen, guys, it is St. Patty's Day. That means your boy's going to go out. Like I said, I got to go get me some corned beef and cabbage, drink some beer, get things rolling. Then I got to head out to Charlotte on Monday. Man, this thing just don't stop. I was hoping for Herschel Walker trade, but Dak might. I don't know. I don't know if they do. It'll be that will be some news right there. That'll be some news right there. Do I trust Tolbert? I don't know yet. I think he's got an opportunity, and I think he's done good with his opportunities, but I don't think he's got enough opportunities for me to really give a fair assessment. But I think as a 3 receiver, I don't think he's gonna, you're not looking for him to catch 100 balls and this and that. But I think in the opportunities he's had last year, much better, obviously, than the year before. He's got a lot of upside. He can high point the ball very, very well. Did that a lot in college. So I think they're going to draft a guy, but I think competition is there. I think Cooks will be back, and you've got obviously CD. So is the most pro ready. I guess we'll see. We'll see. But hey, guys, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all the love, man. You guys are awesome. Just hey, before you head out, hit that like button, man. Very important, man. It don't cost you nothing. Hit the like button. Subscribe on YouTube. I know a ton of you guys are on Twitter, and I do appreciate it. I love Twitter, even though I don't really post a lot in the off season, so I'm just hiding. I just kind of troll everyone else. But I do love being on YouTube. I love talking more than writing, as you guys may figure out now. But and definitely check that out. Hit the like, subscribe, share. We'll be live on Mondays, live on Thursdays. We have a great guest on Thursday. She's from Instagram. She does a lot of great Cowboys content, a lot of reels and stuff. So she goes by the name Tearing It Up. So, but she's a lot of fun. So we're going to have her Thursday live. And then the week after, we are going to have another Cowboys offensive lineman he's from the mid 80s into the Jimmy's era, Crawford Kerr. He has some great stories. He was one that Kevin Gogan was kind of talking about. Some of the fun stories. So he might come into the cave literally. He lives over here. He lives by me. And he's been very successful post-career. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But he follows the Cowboys now. So he's going to give a really good perspective of what he thinks the Cowboys' problems are, or positive things he thinks could be happening this season and in the NFL, where Gogan's out in the woods, man. He's enjoying nature. I don't know if he's following the Cowboys too much, like he said. So it's going to be a lot of fun with that. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Hit that like, subscribe, share. I appreciate all the support. A lot of fun, man. I can't thank you enough. You guys are my therapy session in life. So I appreciate it. And again, thank you, everyone. Enjoy St. Patty's Day. Be safe. Make sure you get yourself some corned beef and cabbage or a Reuben sandwich. You got to get some. You got to be in the spirit of it. But you guys have a great time. Be safe, and I will see you tomorrow. We got Jimmy D in the house. We might have to make it a hair later. He doesn't know that yet. Might have to make it a hair later because I'm traveling to Charlotte, but definitely want to do the show live on Monday. So appreciate it. You guys take care.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.